changes of state. These are changes from like solid to liquid, or from liquid to gas. We would call these changes melting and vaporization, respectively. Actually, it's more helpful if we make a diagram that has the states, solid, liquid, and gas, and their relative energies. So here's a vertical axis with energy increasing as you go up. At the lowest potential energy is a solid, and at the highest potential energy is a gas. Now, you might think that liquid goes right in the middle, but remember, liquid's a condensed phase, just like a solid is. So it's actually only slightly above solid, right? And that difference in energy is the difference that allows liquid molecules to exchange positions, whereas that can't happen in a solid. So now the change whereby we go from a solid to a liquid is melting, represented by this blue arrow here. If we're going back down the other way, that's freezing. Now the change in potential energy is the same, it's just that when we're melting, we have an increase in energy, and when we're freezing, we have a decrease in energy. So we're going to change the color of our processes. When we're increasing in energy, an arrow going up, it's going to be red. And when we're decreasing in energy, or an arrow going down, I'm going to use blue. When we go from a liquid to a gas, that's an increase in energy. So it's drawn here in a red arrow. We're going to call that vaporization, commonly known as boiling. On the other hand, if we're going from a gas to a liquid, we're going to call that condensation. So a blue arrow. And the amount of energy or heat that is lost during condensation is the same as the amount of heat that is gained during vaporization. Hence, the arrows are the same size, but they're pointing in different directions. Again, the red arrows are pointing up for when energy is gained, and the blue arrows are pointing down for when energy is lost. If you go all the way from a solid to a gas, that's called sublimation. So that's the biggest red arrow we'll see on our whole diagram. What about when you go all the way from a gas to a solid? That's represented by this blue arrow here, and we call that deposition. And just to say, the change in energy is the same magnitude, but different sign, depending on whether you're going up or down. So, delta E for melting equals negative delta E for freezing. And delta E for vaporization equals negative delta E for condensation. And delta E for sublimation equals negative delta E for deposition.